Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. There it is. Hello, comrades, and welcome to another episode of Under Construction. Hi, Venkman. I'm your host, Ellis, otherwise known as the Admiral. Let me just get everything spooled up over here. You're going to have to bear with me for a minute. We are, of course, as usual, building a route in Trainz. Building stream live. Now, as I was getting everything set up, hello Mossy Mug. As I was getting everything set up, I sort of scrolled through the very long list of copies of the route that I have, and I just thought, damn, I really got to do some housekeeping. I really got to get rid of a good chunk of the copies of the route I have saved in Trainz. The other day, after we wrapped up, or maybe it was in between episodes, I actually updated the copy of the route that is available on Google Drive. So, if you go onto the Discord, and I'm pretty sure it's in the Fake Model Railroading channel, but it might be in the Tolbrand Peninsula thread under the Fake Model Railroading channel, there is a link to the Google Drive for this project, including a copy of the route, a CDP copy. Now, almost everything, or most everything should be available on the download station. I do think you need Trainz Plus to download everything. There's a bunch of packaged content, I think. I've tried to avoid it as best I can, but I have not been perfect. And at some point I will probably give up on that entirely, I don't know. But I try to make everything downloadable. This is started back at an era when the only multiplayer we had was the OG multiplayer, where you really had to fight to make it work. The original Trainz multiplayer is something that I think I only ever tried to play once. I think having iPortals is a better way to do multiplayer. At least it's a lot more foolproof. As long as you have the same assets, it just works. I haven't really tried to do multiplayer, certainly not with Tolbrand, but I know that it can be a mighty struggle. Hello Mew, hello Dean. Alright, let's do this over here. Now, last week was 2 weeks ago, was so dismal in terms of this. I almost went and did another kind of not Tetris. One of these days, I should do actual Tetris. I don't know the easiest way to play that. I wonder what kind of, weird versions of Tetris are available on Steam. Maybe I can play Dr. Mario at some point. I really Tetris, not Tetris, whatever. It's not supposed to be my thing. I really don't intend for... I should have turned that around the other way. I really don't intend for it to be my thing. I'm glad it's not iconic. Save regular Tetris for a Thursday, April 1st. Yeah, okay. Maybe. Oh, shoot. Alright, well, that's not good. That's very not good. I wanted to see if I could do that. Yeah, okay. But this is going to be over before it begins. Yeah, that's it. We're done here. It's okay. I got to get to building the route anyway. April 1st, 2027. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we've got a a route to work on still at that point. All right, let me reorganize my screen here. Let me resituate myself. It's been 2 weeks since we've looked at this here route. We've done quite a bit of work in the last couple of sessions, with a couple of full episodes even. This is not one because I was eating chicken piccata and it made my tummy hurt, and I don't really know why. I'm still suffering. Let me get rid of that one tree. Speaking of ingesting things, our soda this week is Yacht Up, which is the last one I have. I'm going to have to go and get more. So, cheers. I'll be working on that lemon lime soda. It's a pretty good one. I do like it a lot. Um, okay. Something that I don't have, and I was looking at certain examples of line side industries like this one. And there are a good couple where the track, instead of being parallel or even like quasi parallel, this one is not quite parallel, where it really peels away, and that's something that I don't do very often. It's something that I should do more, because almost all of this stuff is parallel. Uh, these things, I guess, kind of work, but all of this stuff is parallel and pretty close at that. Um, this one is maybe the furthest from it, but even then, it doesn't go very far. There are plenty of industries where the track sort of weaves into the back end of the industry. A lot of this is, I hate to admit it, but it's very model railroad. It's model railroad coded, as some might say. It is like you tend to line stuff up like this on a model railroad because you're short on space, and that is the way it is. You have a relatively linear space. Real life does not work like that. You've got more stuff like this, where it peels off of whatever the main line is. Not necessarily the main line, but you know what I mean. Um, and then it goes for a while, and then it tucks in. If I would be well within my rights to curve a line into here. Oh, let me actually send this in the Discord, in the official Discord there. And you've got some stuff like this on the meat plant and the tannery, which, yeah, okay, that's not too bad. Um, but it isn't exactly what I'm aiming at. There are some really unusual track arrangements out there. Really unusual. Real life does the parallel thing plenty, but I've kind of only done that. Maybe the JT Cannery is the only exception to the rule here. Um, if there was another industry off of this, maybe, and I mean this would have been one if I had made this an active industry, but no, instead we get this, something that I spent so much time doing the platforms for, which is it's kind of ridiculous in and of itself. But no, we've got work to do. Um, I tried to get my computer to be a little bit happier. It seems to be a little bit happier today, but it still acts like it wants to chug. We're getting to the point where there's just a lot of town. There's really not much way around it. Maybe I should turn down the render distance. There's a lot of town. You know what? I should put some shrubs along this front here. So let's do that. Let's try. I mean, this is apparently the one that comes up when you punch in shrub. No, that is way too much. Really, I want more hedge than shrub. Show search filter. Let's look for hedge. I want something a little bit wild, but yeah, this will do. All right, let's do this to here. Something that we could do is put like a sign over there. If we had something that said, hey, blah 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 community pool, then I'm surprised there's no static hedge. 7-Eleven sign, semaphore, signal. Oh, so Oh, there are some. Those are some interesting signal bridges. We should make use of those. Um, Warehouse sign. I assume these are, you mount them to the side of the building. Oh, and I assume they're customizable at that. Um, if I can put a sign here, and I can say, I'm just gonna name it after my hometown one. Oh, damn it. Something, something, something. Matt, why are you at 30th Street? Uh, that's still too big. What? You can fit like 6 characters on this. Oh, there's a bigger one. Um, Girlfriend time. What a simp. City pool is fine. It's just a little too generic. Like, I wanted to write community pool, but I can't write that because that's way too long. Um, yeah, da pool. Uh, Dead pool. Um, let's just do butt along. Yeah. The fact that the text clips off the bottom of the sign, even though it's like the default text, that's that's very frustrating. I don't know why. Like, who did this? Um, there's a visitor's sign in. There's a whole bunch of. Oh, what are these? T-side signal box. This could be like a. Imagine if they had pay for parking here. So this is your. Yeah, let's do this. This is your pay for parking station. There's also, I can see some texture under there, or some lack of texture. Um, it's a sign with text on it. No, why can't I get rid of that? Oh, there we go. I had to fill in that. Okay. Well, I think this is about as much as we're gonna do over here. I need to stop fiddling in this triangle. Like, this triangle's done. We're done with this triangle. Um, this I need to make an allusion to the fact that there was a road here once. Part of me wants to, actually, what I should do is I should extend this out this way. I just have a very small block here. Make even more strange road arrangements and triangles. Um, because this is a town that has very little forward-thinking planning historically. So the roads are all kind of a cluster. Like, it cannot, hey, Train Street, it cannot commit to a street grid for very long. We have one going this way. We have one going this way, if it wants to load the streets, which it does not. Um, yeah, just look at how many different, like, cardinal directions of street grid we have. This and that are some of the only two that line up, and even then, they're not lined up. Um, Soda of the Night was Yacht Up. It's actually the last one I have in my fridge. So I am going to need to go get more soon. I don't know when that's going to be. I'm tempted to forego a soda next week, and then because I will have not like this coming weekend, but the weekend after that, we are going to be watching Audrey, which I'm very much looking forward to. But Gloria is working until 3 on that Saturday, and I don't know what to do with myself in the meantime. Well, more importantly, I don't know what to do with the small child that I will be, the sole guardian of at that moment. So maybe we'll just go to the soda store and buy sodas. Okay, anyway. I don't... So, like, this area is the next area, right? Also, I think we used this building. We're going to have to kit bash something with this building because I think I used it in Pan Am. Let me check. I don't want it to look identical, and I just went right past Pan Am. Sometimes the world feels big, sometimes it does not. Yeah, we used this as like the town hall. Um, it's like Faneuil Hall went to Shady Maple every night for a month. That's what that makes me think of. It's a very wide sort of hall. Um, this area looks great though. It'll look even better once we have the trees. Honestly though, I do love the way this turned out. With the couple of industrial buildings at one end, lots of commercial stuff along the strip, maybe not even enough. Um, some empty buildings and plenty of three deckers. And then I think I put a fire hall around here somewhere. Oh no, this was supposed to be like a school building or something. Um, can't remember what I was gonna do. I did have a fireman, a fire station at one point. And then yeah, no, I think this triangle turned out really well. Like what's amazing to me is, and this is obviously me tooting my own horn. I apologize for that. But what's amazing to me is that like on your average Trainz route, this is like 5 cities. You get like 3 blocks per city on the average Trainz route because building cities is really boring, and it takes a lot of time. And what you want to do is build industries and railroad track because that's why you bought the train simulator and not workers and resources. So we have got this to finish and this to start on. Now, notably, well, we need to think about the character of these neighborhoods a little bit. We need to look at like, okay, this is the main drag, but this is sort of a more modern main drag. Um, and this was the original one, and it crossed this, but this got upgraded and not that because this actually goes from. Well, I'll have to build this later. I have to figure out what's going on down there later. That's like 3 corners. And runs through here, runs straight through the middle, the giant, like, Kelly Square looking intersection, and then out this way. And this is going to be one of the roads that runs in that direction. Something else I've got to do is, I did check the map last time or the time before, and I realized that I've got to build a highway interchange out here somewhere. So that's a different problem. And I've got to do more with this. Now that we have these blocks, I might be able to just copy-paste them wholesale. I don't know about this area here. I think we should have more row houses sort of filling in the back here. Whether it's these or other ones, though, I am uncertain. Whether it should be these or the other ones. This is going to sort of like turn into a suburban sprawl-looking area, but I am getting way off track because I wanted to talk about this area here. This is our next triangle, if we want to call it that. It's not at all going to be a triangle, but this will be our next triangle. The boundaries are this, this corner here of the roads, and probably this corner down here. And then the track on that side, and basically everything in this area here. Failing that, we could just do this edge, like this area, this sort of weird trapezoid area. But we've got to work down this road here. And the other thing about this road is this is the original main drag. Like this was the first intersection. There was a bridge here, and this was the original main drag. So we're going to see some of the oldest buildings on this stretch, I think. At least that's what I should be aiming for. Closer to that end, though. Like, maybe the oldest part's going to be right here. The fact that I threw down some suburbs over here, that takes away from it a little bit. But this is just one item. If anyone remembers, that's just one piece. The one piece is real. So if we're going to use this, and I don't even know why I want to use this, it sort of fits well in this space. Oh, hello, Orion. I'm sorry to hear about you losing your job. good luck to your next endeavor. I'm not sure what to do with this building. It fits really well here, but I don't know, this whole area is whack. What would be here? Let's think about this. So we have dairy co-op here. So this is industrial, way down by the river, because of course. There's also more industry here. This I think is going to be like there's going to be a lot of commercial in around this square. Is what I would expect. And then residential in between this and this. Now, this and this are like two competing commercial areas, which the fact that they're close together doesn't really sit great with me. So we're going to have to do something about that. I'm tempted to connect this through here to here. Feels like it would be the play, but that creates a lot of street weirdness. Let's see. Well, hold on. Because I might want to refactor some of this. Now, well, no, this was the original road, so everything would have ended up parallel to that. So another street that comes down this way is probably not out of the question. Let me just make a ruler for that, just to remind myself. Getting the street grid here to play nice and to feel realistic, to feel accurate, I think is going to be a pretty big hurdle in and of itself. Let's see, that's 140. This should be 320, which it is. And then we'll just sort of tuck that into... We'll tuck that into here. Or we will continue this down this way. I mean, we could have a parallel street that runs all the way down to here. The street grid here is really bizarre. Part of that would be due to the fact that this area grew up a little bit later. This area is some of the oldest. This is a little younger. And then this is going to be younger still. A lot of this would have grown up when they moved the station over here in 1920-ish. So, whatever remnants there were of the original arrangement here might not be so obvious. Or they might manifest in ways that are sort of falling out of favor. And what I'm getting at when I say that is, let me grab a gravel road, I guess. Give me this. You're going to have remnants of the original street grid that are no longer relevant to contemporary traffic patterns. So you might have something like this, where they would have cut this street off because otherwise you're looking at a really awful intersection here. This road would have been windy because it was following the river originally. And maybe, actually, you know what? We should have a park here. Well, no, we can't do that. Okay. If we didn't have all of these doors, we would have a park here. Because that would have been where this line ends. You know what? Let me paint that up as green anyway. So we will have a little square, a little triangular park here. And some evidence of this here based on where the property line would have been, like used to be. Part of that is going to be if we take this and we grab one with the thing on one side. Hey, I got it right. Yeah, and so you would have... I kind of wish I was in Surveyor 2 for this, but I'm just going to do it really quick. Pull that out to there. Property line would be here. This area is going to be all pavement. This area is going to be kind of gravelly, I think. But it's going to be used by the dairy company. Um, because this road would have probably gone like that originally, and you know, this river road is one of the oldest roads in town, I would guess. So, what do we do? Um, I think part of it is to make it official, right? Make it official that we're moving into this area, and I know that we have plenty of other area to work with, and I've got to go and do at least one chunk of town over there. I need to do at least one block of residential. Probably two would be best because we're so close to finishing up over there, and it's gonna be a whole new world when we get done with that. And that's what's amazing to me. We have been working so hard on the three triangles, and by I mean me, but you all contribute sort of by being here. Uh, if I was just here talking to myself every day or every Thursday, if there was no one in chat ever, I'm not sure how long. Yeah, the royal we exactly. I'm not sure how long this series would have gone on for, but here we are, like 7 years on, and you guys show up, and I'm appreciative of that. And I hope if somebody's like, "Damn, there are no good Trainz route builders," you can not just say like, "Go watch Approach Medium." You can say, "Hey, there's this obscure person. Uh, Luigi wins by doing nothing." Uh, there's this obscure dude who makes trading cards. You should check him out. Speaking of which, I started doing some work on the website. All of the different local games have their own pages now. I don't have time to really expand upon them right yet. What I want to do is I want to sort of make starter kits for all of them. I have a whole bunch of ideas. Uh, Steve Lanso, the dude who makes the loco base, like the back end loco base, um, he was like, you should do branded binders. And so I looked it up, and sure enough, we could absolutely do branded binders. What would be cool is, I'm thinking, what if we did, like, you could buy a starter set off of the website, and it would just be like, okay, here's like 2 or 3 random packs of cards, a binder, some folders, or like some holders for your cards, some stickers, and the sheets you need to play the games. And you could just buy the whole thing, and it would be for, a chunk of change because the binders I'm sure are going to be expensive, and it's going to take, more effort on my part to make all of those. It's one of those things that feels like you buy it and like it's more money than the stuff inside is actually worth, but you're getting a starter kit. You're saving yourself the peace of mind of like, okay, what do I get? What do I download? What do I print out? How do I play the game? Um, One of the things that I like about the way that we're making cards, and this is sort of a chicken and the egg, and the cards are on my mind because we spent like 3 or 4 hours last night brainstorming for the next official like mainline batch of cards, which is going to be Railway 200. That's what got voted on. Yeah, like a collector's book for baseball cards, but with the Dean, have you seen the what I've done and what Mew has done with the binder? You can get, for those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, you can get like 4x6 photo frames that fit really nicely in a binder. Or sorry, 4x6 sleeves for like index cards or photos that you would put in a binder, and they fit the trading cards pretty well. So you get a binder, then you put your cards in it, and then you can page through them like like baseball cards, instead of keeping them in their little manila envelope. Because as nice as that is, and I sort of tout the fact that we send along individual envelopes so you can keep your cards in, like stored like that. It's not ideal. Um, uh, but yeah, Railway 200. Celebration of the 200th anniversary of the first commercial steam-hauled passenger train. And a that is a more specific description than just Railway 200. Um, and I was able to stretch that description a little bit. What I said was, this is going to be a pack or a batch. This is going to be a batch centered around passenger firsts and milestones, but not speed records. Uh, Specifically, like the first steam locomotive in Japan, or the first imperial train, the first passenger train there. Stuff like the Darjeeling Himalayan Railway, or the uh, like rebuilds of stuff. Atlantic. I wanted to do the first Atlantic, but I couldn't figure out what it was. A locomotive that operated on the Trans-Siberian Railway. I was originally going to say, oh, a locomotive that operated on the Transcontinental Railway in the U.S., and then I realized, oh, we're doing that already. That's going to be in the Marks Madness batch. So, that's one thing taken care of. But these are a lot of ideas that have been kicked around, and we haven't settled on anything yet. Um, the first preserved railway in the world. Um, uh, Probably a Hudson, an Adriatic, a Jubilee. Representatives of like wheel arrangements that are passenger specific. I think the first Atlantic was the ACL, but you never know. There are always like stuff that crops up before the name gets popular. There are also things that are like Atlantics that are a 440 with a two axle, set of trailing wheels, but they aren't really an Atlantic. They're just like, oh, we attached extra wheels to it. Um, it's like, where do you draw the line exactly? Um, we're gonna do the big passenger stuff. We're gonna do big stuff with regards to preservation, not like physically big stuff necessarily. Um, and then yeah, it's sort of like global firsts or global milestones or whatever. Uh, there is a speed record engine that is likely to be included, but also likely to be included is like locomotion or rocket, um, like the very first engines for the purpose. John Bull, maybe. We left it off with like a tentative set, but there was a lot of discussion today, and that might get rearranged, taken down, shifted around. Um, a lot of it is going to be British. There is probably not going to be very much U.S. representation, if at all, if any at all, because, well, partly because this is really a good opportunity to put in some other stuff, but also because, like, as much as the U.S. has contributed to locomotive design, um, and there will be plenty of engines that were built in the U.S. I have no doubt. I'm sure we will see more Baldwins. Um, Railway 200, the first thing, this is the 200th anniversary of the first, you know, first commercial passenger train, as it were, and that was a British thing. So we're going to be focusing up on that, and Great Britain in general, the British Isles in general, but also like uh, other stuff in the Empire, you know. Um, so some, probably Canadian representation, Indian representation, Anzac representation. Um, let's see what else. What else comes to mind? What else have we tried to work in there? But yeah, there's a. Would the Garretts have a T at the end of their white notation? Oh, that's a question. Oh, that's a question. I say no. I think no. I think like a Garrett is something else. Like this is an entire argument about, is a Garrett a tank engine? And like I think no, because when you write out a Garrett in white notation or in horseman notation even, it's pretty obvious what you've just written down. Um, a T shows up in white notation when you're not sure. Like, if I wrote down 282, right? 282 is a Mikado, but is it? What do you picture when I say 282? Uh, because plenty of people are going to picture like 4501. Plenty of people are going to picture, like Alberni Pacific number 7. Plenty of people are gonna just like fill in the T on their own. It's a Mikado. Um, well, what else? And whatever facets that could have. Now, if you say 282T, it doesn't have a tank. Sorry, it doesn't have a tender. It's a tank engine. Um, it may or may not have a tank either. I hope it does. Um, get out of the tank. No. So you have, that answers your question. It makes it more specific. I don't think there's a situation where you write down something like 262 plus 262 and you don't assume it's a tank engine. There are not very many situations where you have a tender behind something like that. So I don't think you need it. Um, because it's not nearly as ambiguous. Yeah, the Southern Tractor tank thing. So that we almost made a trading card of that. For those that have watched Mark's Madness, it shows up, and it very quickly goes away because, dear God, have you seen the thing? And there was a long-standing argument as to whether what is the tractor? Like, I agree that it is a host unto itself. It is a tractor, right? But how do you define that? And is it different than an articulated locomotive? Like, is it an articulated locomotive? Is it a tender engine with a giant booster? Is it a B unit? It's like, no, it's not a B unit because the A unit can't run independently because all the coal and water is back there, right? Okay, scratch that. It's not an articulated engine because there's something to do with the frames, but also, and this was like the crux of the whole thing, the rear set had an independent throttle and reverser linkage, as far as we could tell. Which means that big old thing underneath the tender is not half of an articulated, it's not part of a Garrett, it's a giant booster. It is a booster engine. It is an independently operated thing that you turn on when you need more power. It's not designed to be used constantly as you're running the locomotive, like up to track speed or whatever. I mean, if your track speed is 15, then go off, I guess. But, the tractor is a really interesting case, and I want to hate it. I want to hate it because, dear God, have you seen it? But it's really neat. It's Mopac engineers beg to disagree. Oh God. Did Mopac have tractors? I hope not. Um, but that's the thing. You can say the tractor engine, or it has a tractor engine, and that is descriptive, right? One of the reasons that I started the whole TIHC wheel arrangement classification, which is going to get its own page on the website at some point. My soda is yacht up. There are a few things I want to add to the website. I want to add Merger Mania underneath the games. I also want to add some Minecraft stuff, just like maybe a page on SAR, maybe some world downloads for this and that. But I want to put some stuff onto the games, and this is weird. This is a weird bump. But I also want to add a section for what I guess you could call railroad history. Yeah, Cogger's download up there. That would be that would be actually a good idea. And like a link to the server maybe. Or not a link to it, but like a description of it, and then just like a, hey, join our Discord and get access to it. So using boosters whenever they feel like that's not good for the boost. This kills the booster. Okay, so we've got splines for days now. We've done up this embankment. This embankment is good. It's done. I want to work in here, but you know what? I'm going to force myself to turn away from this and start working over here in these blocks. Okay, so yeah, I want to add like some sort of railroad history section, which is going to have to do with like one of the things I will be talking about in depth is the wheel arrangement classification. And yeah, one of the reasons I started that project. Oh, these have look at that, they've got foundation on them. Isn't that nice? One of the reasons I started that project is I needed to put a name to everything. I needed to be unambiguous. I needed to have a word that means the thing that I'm talking about for as many things as possible. The thing that I posited was, what do you call a 2660, right? And it's like, oh, it's the super mogul or whatever. It's like, okay, but we got to write that down somewhere, right? And I think what we ended up with was a Java if it's a tank engine, or a Moffat if it's a tender engine, and that works for me. I think that works for most people, because if nothing else, it is distinct, right? That was the goal all along. It was to make it distinct. It was to find a name that was not a duplicate, that you could say it and people would get it. It might take a little while for people to learn and for people to come around, but listen, I'll stand by this stupid thing. Like, I don't rate my idea super highly, but I will stand by it. And if people want to start using it, which I invite you to, and I would thank you for using it, and spread it around, it's like, who's updating the white system, right? Who is updating the white system? There is no one updating the white system. It's dead. Like, he's dead. He's been dead for a long time. He died before they stopped making steam engine wheel arrangements. Okay? So, posthumously, someone needed to be keeping track of that. And I think we are well posthumous enough that it's time to move on from the white system and go to an adaptation of it that is where the bugs are worked out, right? Where everything has one name or maybe two names, depending on, depending on the variance, right? And how you can define it. The Baltic versus a Hudson thing is really, that kind of thing is fun to me to figure out an answer. And then we can all be on the same page. I know there are 14 competing standards, etc., etc. But like, how long has it been since we got a new one? Right? And do any of them cover all these edge cases? I couldn't find names for most of the weird stuff. And I didn't really expect to, but I was at least a little surprised. By not having standardized names for so many classes. Even the classes that only got used by one or two railroads, and they just didn't decide to name it after the railroad or really name it after anything at all. It is that truck is floating inside the building. That's not staying there. It's just it is an XYZ. It is a whatever it is. Or some that are more obscure, or some that are like hotly contested, right? Every railroad and their mother made a new name for their 484s. I don't know why 484s specifically. Maybe because they were such a, like, maybe because White was like super dead, right? When did he die? White system. White notation. Who came up with this? Frederick Meth Van White. That's right. I forgot that was his middle name. Oh, he died in 1941. Sorry, that took me out of it. Uh, so like, maybe it's because he died, right? All these railroads in the 40s were all these railroads in the 40s were like coming up with new, you know, they were making 484s, but Meth Van White was already dead. You think anyone called him by his middle name? Man, imagine if he had been around to see Breaking Bad. Imagine. His last name is White. How can, like, you can't make this up. You can't, you, I'm sorry, we're totally derailed. But like, yeah, he was dead, so every railroad was just like, yeah, we're gonna, you know, F that guy, we're gonna just name them what we want. Which gives me even more of a reason to say, F that guy, we're gonna come up with that. We're gonna make a list, okay? And we're gonna check it twice. Walter named the Northern Walter. So, you know, Meth Van White. I think that's why. You think that's why that, like, Breaking Bad is Walter White? Like, that's, you know, that's been the in joke the whole time. The showrunners are actually huge foamers. Okay. Different railroads 484s their own names because they were considered the epitome. Yeah. Well, that's it. It's just like they could get away with it because there wasn't somebody hounding them saying, no, it's called XYZ. It is that we're going to name it what we want. You know, even like everyone, you know, there are so many examples of we made a new wheel arrangement, this is what it is, and everyone just sort of immediately capitulates and says, yeah, sure, that's what it is. The one I can think of off the top of my head is the Hudson, right? Okay, there were some Baltics floating around, but aside from the Baltics from the Milwaukee Road, there weren't really any others in the U.S. that called them Baltics, and outside of the U.S. they were called Baltics in a lot of cases, well, most cases, the vast majority of cases. However, they were also, sort of as we define them now, mechanically Baltics. Everyone else is just like, yeah, it's a Hudson, whatever. You know, sure, New York Central, you can have this one. And then, you know, the Atlantic is another one. The Mikado is another one. It, like, they even tried to fight that one, right? They even tried to retcon it when we went to war with Japan, and they said, no, it's not a Mikado anymore. It's a MacArthur, or it's a Camulet was another one of them, which sounds like something you'd see in the last two seasons of Stargate SG-1, which I'm about to start with Gloria, or McAdoo, yeah. I don't know. I think I have that one written down, but it's so goofy. I can't take it seriously. Um, it's just like, okay, yeah, sure. Is that what you want? We'll rename it, and then the war is over, and it's like, oh no, they're Mikados. That didn't stick. They're sorry, hate to break it to you, but this is a Mikado. Um, and you know, Micah Doodoo. And you're not gonna be calling it Doodoo when we get an NG-15 at the WWF. Um, Mike, yeah, that's my nickname. Uh, there are so many other ones where it so rarely gets brought up as anything other than the name, And part of that is definitely because Meth Van White pushed the name, right? Uh, and pushed like his system and his nomenclature. You go to Steamtown, you can get a metal plate that has all the wheel arrangements on it, and most of them are the same as what's in the Horseman classification, because that's what everyone knows. No one is going out there and calling it a MacArthur, outside of like very specific edge cases, like I think the S200, right, the wartime design. Um, no one is calling it anything other than an Atlantic for a 442, like 99 times out of 100. No one is calling a what's another one that's like super super ubiquitous? A Pacific, right? It's a Pacific. What other names are there? But then like I gotta open it up because I gotta look at it now. You get to um, a Northern, and just the ones I have written down: Niagara, Pocono, Greenbrier, Dixie, Golden State, Potomac, Big Apple, Laurentian, Confederation, Western, Heavy Mountain, and Wyoming. And I think I didn't even count one. No, that's 12. Yeah, that's 12. Like, you dense people, just pick a name and stick with it. John Eric's car on the NEBW's Ford Force Taconics. Yeah, even the model railroaders can't agree on it. And it's a headache. What do you mean? And the thing that really gets me is that in conversation, no one will ever call it anything but a Northern anyway. Except for, maybe not 99 times out of 100, maybe like 8 times out of 10, right? If you're talking about a railroad that had Northerns and their name really stood out, like the Niagaras, or the Poconos, right? Like some of these they show up, some of them do not. The Dixies, in the Mohawk instead of a mountain, that's something as well. The New York Central just had a lot of star power. I mean, I can't really deny that. It would be silly for me to try. The New York Central is like, I don't want to like the same argument, right? The same Fomer argument every day, for 100 years. PRR versus New York Central. You all know where I stand on that. I'm a firm believer that by every metric that matters, the Pennsylvania Railroad wins. However, when it comes to coolness points, when it comes to just straight up like, hey, you know about me, like the PRR is acknowledged, but the New York Central is fawned over. And honestly, I don't think it's undeserved. I don't think it's undeserved. The New York Central had a way with the public. They knew how to market in a way that the PRR really didn't, at least not in a way that lasted, right? The 20th Century Limited is probably the second or third most famous train in the world at worst. It's like that's what peak performance looks like. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, sure. Yeah, Penn Central, yeah. Um no, uh the I want to put a big shrub on this corner. Uh NYC's form versus PRR's function. Yeah, I mean that's a way to put it. I'm not sure I completely agree with that because the other thing is that the New York Central did make some really damn good locomotives. I mean, they knew what buttons to press at Alco Schenectady to get fantastic pieces of machinery, and I can't deny that. Um, both roads had their strong points. It's just I'm like the PRR moved more carloads. They had faster trains. Maybe not timetable wise, but just straight up. They were innovators more than the New York Central. I agree. Or I assert. I should say. I don't agree. Um, like Westinghouse air brakes, position light signals. Yeah, PLs are goofy, but when you think of them sort of like the philosophy there of the we're going to produce one part and we're going to make 11 bajillion of them, and the signals have built-in redundancy, and by the way, we made electric signals, isn't that neat? Um, the Santa Fe is terrible. I hate the Santa Fe. I don't hate the Santa Fe. The Santa Fe deserves way more flack than it gets. People love the Santa Fe because War Bonnet looks cool. And you know what? The Santa Fe wasn't even the best War Bonnet railroad, okay? It was the D&H. They did it better. But everyone loves War Bonnet. Oh my god, the Super Chief. It's like, can you like take a step back and look at all the other deranged crap that the Santa Fe put out? Please, just for a minute. They're not well. They are not okay. Okay? Someone needs to check on the Santa Fe. No, okay, SPSF scheme, honestly, I do love Kodachrome. I have, like, Kodachrome is like a guilty pleasure for me. I would own a Kodachrome engine if I could, if I bought Trainz, you know? Like, I kind of want one. I'll put one on the wedding registry. I'm sure Gloria won't notice. Um, but yeah, the oh my god, the Santa Fe. No, you know, I don't even remember where I started with like where I was going with the Pennsy New York Central thing. I maybe felt like I had to say some of that over again. Um, oh yeah, it's just that the New York Central knew how to work the public. They knew how to make a lasting image. Uh, they knew how to make a lasting image without plastering keystones all over everything like it's a middle schooler with a marker and they just figured out how to draw a dick. Uh, that is not a flattering thing for me to say about arguably my favorite railroad, but like, have you been to 30th Street Station? Hey Matt, how's the wall of keystones looking? Uh, if Matt's still there. That's that's one of the things that gets me about 30th Street Station. And plenty of other PRR architecture. Like, the PRR had an icon, and they just stuck it on everything. Um, I'm surprised they didn't figure out how to make the boilers look like keystones or something ridiculous like that. I'm sure if a Baldwin engineer had like fallen, like slipped in a shower and smacked his head, and like it came to him in a dream how to make the keystone-shaped boiler, the PRR would have bought 500 of them. There would have been no hesitation. Okay, that normally conservative management style, just like no, gimme. it has our symbol on it. It's like the Knights Templar. Um, it's if the Pennsylvania Railroad had been around during the age of like the Pennsylvania Railroad could have been a colonial power. Like they have the vibes for it, and that's not really a good thing. I mean, they basically were. They had like 800 mergers or something over the lifetime of the railroad. It's a lot of mergers. Um, they bought a lot of railroads. I and I have I've said it before. I'm gonna go on record. The Pennsylvania Railroad is the closest thing that railroading in the U.S. has had to an evil empire. So you know, I'm wondering that I'm wondering if someday in 2035 when we send like another probe uh you know out past Neptune, they're gonna realize that the one of the little rocks out there they thought was like the ninth planet is actually a Death Star with a keystone on it. Uh, I wouldn't really be surprised. It's up there with the Nazi moon base. Okay, I want another pool. Uh, with a sewer lid wedged inside. Yeah, actually, it turns out that whole thing was intentionally done by the New York Central as an attack. They thought this is the only way we can take it down. I want a greenhouse. Golf green. Yeah, no, that's not what I want. Green drums, greenhouse. Oh no, how about a little one? Yeah, there we go. Also, I don't know why I didn't do this one. I did this one, this middle one. Um, so Santa Fe's zebra stripe scheme is my favorite. As for the bonnets, I like them, but if it was different, I wouldn't mind it. Zebra stripe, zebra stripe makes me think of Canadian National, and that that is a scheme that's been immortalized, right? In this very game, right? Hold on, I bet you I have something zebra like CN zebra stripe. Um, yep. Is this no? That's too modern. Oh, we get some box caps. I didn't realize that. It's CNJ. Maybe I don't have it. There it is. I was gonna say, there's no way. I have to have. Yeah, there you go. I like, I like, I like this scheme a lot. I don't really know, like, why it exists. It's one of those things where some of the paint schemes, some of the paint schemes you can look at and go, yeah, like I see where they're coming from with that. Some of them are just like, oh, we repainted the Baldwin like the way it came, right? Like we took the pattern and just said fill it with these colors. But I can only imagine that Canadian National was just like, yeah, I mean, we've got like big plains that we cross. That's basically the same as the Serengeti, right? Um, can someone flip over the Toto record? We just got to the end of side A. All right, we're gonna put some more houses down. Um, I hear the drums echoing tonight. Uh, but like, I don't know. I don't know. It's there are plenty of schemes where I see where it's coming from. Perhaps there are plenty of schemes where I don't even get close. I don't even begin to understand where the inspiration was. Um, and I'm sure there's some rationale somewhere. I actually like War Bonnet is one of those where it's like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, you know, they're leaning into this whole theme, so I kind of get it. But oh, whoops, I need to put down the rest of the houses, more than just one. How about? Um, And then, I don't know. I mean, a lot of it is just sort of aesthetically pleasing. I know not everything is meaningful, right? Like, not everything is going to be like, oh, it has to tie to this, that, and the other thing. I get attached to that. That's just a me thing. Um, I get attached to that an awful lot. I think about like, oh, if I buy anything or if I do anything, it has to have like some deeper meaning behind it. Everything in my house, I can tell a story about, pretty much. Even if it's just like, yeah, I got this from such and such person, and they said this, that, and the other thing, and I knew them from this. Like the wood stove. Oh, I got the wood stove from. Um, I'm gonna put a Quonset hut in this person's lawn. Um, because I'm gonna say that like the original road was here, and so this guy is just like he's got all this property in front of his house. Um, the hell, what was I saying? Whatever I was saying. Yeah, no, everything has to like relate to something. Everything has to have a story I can tell about it. I felt that way when Gloria and I were sort of, well, we still are wedding planning, but when we were trying to pick out a venue, uh, it was just like, oh, it has to be like I was locked into. It has to mean something to me, you know. It has to be a place that matters to me and like that I can tell a story about. Almost, it's almost like I'm worried about running out of things to say, which the fact that I come here and talk for a few hours every week and then I jump on the podcast every other week or so and I do the same damn thing, maybe it's true. I always try to drive the conversation. I always try to make sure there are no pauses. Pauses are awkward and boring. Um, I will always try to make a conversation happen. Um, Maybe that's why the Iron Horseman exists, right? Like, getting a whole bunch of people in one place and seeing what kind of connections come out of it. But, oh, that's a neat building. Um, let's use this one. It's a little too modern, but it is what it is. Um, hmm. So, I need to be able to tell a story about whatever it is that I'm touching. Oh, commercial greenhouse. Oh, since when have I had this? This is really neat. I should use that somewhere. Oh, you know what? You know where the well, you know what? I'm just gonna put this over in the in the physical pick list, and we will find a spot for it later. I think the fact that I have this commercial greenhouse is good, and I should remember that and try to use it. Um, oh, these are a little weird. Uh, I wish these were slightly shorter, like 2 stories. There we go. Um, sure that greenhouse isn't too modern. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. It's not too far off. It at least sort of feels retro. I mean, a big greenhouse is a big greenhouse. I don't know how much that technology has changed. It's a big glass building. It's a big building with patience, but that's not important right now. Um, oh god, it's one of these. That's the center point is way off to the side. Oh crud. Let's just put this over here. No, you know what? I'm going to put it here. This is going to be a deliberate addition to the neighborhood later on. The cityscape houses are kind of neat, but the problem is they are so low poly. I don't want to use them. I have so many of them. I think I downloaded them all at once. Um, and then we have this, which is positively ancient. I actually might take this and turn this way. And then I'll put a wall back here, maybe? Or maybe in front of here, actually. Yeah, where would the edge of the road be? Right about here. So let's put in a brick wall. Um, all in all, you're just another brick in the wall. There's a reference to that earlier. I saw a Reddit post that asked, "Hey, what's your favorite YouTube channel?" And I thought that's an interesting question because I don't really have a strong answer for that. And if anyone here has one like specific favorite YouTube channel, I'm gonna guess that there are some folks out there in this audience that would say, "Oh, it's Heist," right? And that's a fair answer. I think he's kind of cool. But favorite YouTube channel is, oh, it's a tough question to answer. I probably had a favorite, like a more clear favorite back in the day. Maybe at one point in time I wouldn't have hesitated to say like Captain Sparkles or Zisto. Um, like Zisto, I still think is cool. I just don't have time to watch his content, and he streams more than anything else these days. Um, and oh, also I should make clear that that was not bait to say this channel. That's not a that's not a that's not an answer I would expect or hope for. I never mind. Yeah. So I'm trying. I think if I had to give an answer right now, if you said, what is your favorite? Like, put a gun to my head, right? What is your favorite YouTube channel? I think I might have to say 12 Tone. I like music analysis, and their style is so good. Like it's impeccable. I can't think of a YouTube channel where I get more excited for their uploads. And I think that's the kicker for me, right? Like if I'm if I like them that much, they're probably my favorite. There's nobody else where I see a video from 12, like where I see a video from the channel and I immediately put it on my watch later. I don't even think twice. I don't even think like, "Oh, is this something that I want to watch? Is this something that I'll typically watch?" It could be about a song that I know, it could be about a song that I've never heard of in my life. I will watch a half an hour breakdown of a song. Um, it just works. Um, Now that we don't need no education did seem to come in kind of late. Uh, uh, Pat, reply check as soon as I say check. Check, and we'll see how long Pat's delay is. Um, well, also we have to like. Oh, see, the Pat sent a different message, so I know Pat's typing. Check out. Okay, yeah, no, that's quite a delay. I don't know how everybody else. I don't know how everybody else's delay is though. Um, Seven Idea Productions lately. I'm not familiar with them. Also, I'm not sitting up straight at all. My butt is at the front of the chair instead of the back. My posture is atrocious today. All right, Muse, say check as soon as I say check. Check. I should have actually started counting or something. Oh, that was a lot faster. Okay. Uh, Muse latency is way. It's round trip. You ask him to say check, typing it, and then you reading it. Well, that's true. Uh, I'm not delayed. I'm just typing slow. Fair enough. Um, I pressed enter the immediate. Okay, yeah. Then my science experiment is not very sound. I'll need fiber. Try mine. All right. In like a minute, I'm gonna say check, and I want everyone to respond check when I say it, and we'll see everyone's delay at once. So get your fingers on those keyboards. I just flipped over one of my Locomotive Versus timers. Um, and be ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Check. Now I watch the chat. 2, 3. There's Mew. 5, 6, 7. There's Wolf. And then Pat. And then Mossy Mug. Okay. Mew is so much faster. like outrageously faster. Okay. Alright, we need to get some fences in over here. I will have done 2 blocks, and then we'll have this, and this, and this, to do. I also have the graveyard to do. I just gotta do fences over here. I just gotta buckle down and make some fences. Let's grab the station white fence. Oh, this is way shakwad. It's way off to the side. Let's try to straighten that out a little bit. Like there. Yeah. I mean, Mew is the physically closest of anyone in this chat to me, so that's something to do with it. Okay. Let me... What house here would have the white picket fence? I'm thinking this one. Oops, wrong button. Let's do this. I need to start dedicating some time over the course of these videos to working out the industries. Because we are pretty close to being done with where all the industries need to go. I need to do some track work, and maybe I should do that too once I'm done with this. I should run up to the other end of town and do some track work. But I don't know. So yeah, I need to do more industry stuff. I need to do more track work stuff. I need to figure out what all the industries are, what commodities they're taking. We started figuring this out last time, but I think the biggest thing that we can / should do, also all of these fences are inside out, but whatever. The biggest thing that we can / should do is prepare all of the industry locations by putting down multiple industries over there. Because then, once we start deciding where stuff is going to go, once we start deciding like what industries are going to be and what commodities they're going to move, we can fill them into the route and then put them on the spreadsheet, and then they're locked in. Like, we can talk until the cows come home about this should be moved, yeah, until the cows come home. This should be creating this, and this should be creating that. But until we get in there and actually make the industries do what... That's not what I wanted to do. Do what they're supposed to be doing, commodities and carloads and all, it's all just talk. What I want to do is... Let's see, is this the front of the building or the back of the building? Now, this is definitely the front of the building. Let me throw a garage in here. They should be moved. Assume a spherical cow, yeah. Round beef. Okay, so we've got a garage. Jointed rail garage. Here in my jointed rail car. And then we'll just put that there, and we'll get a nice long driveway in. I'm wondering if the philosophy at one time was just the longest and largest driveway you can. I remember growing up, we made our driveway double wide, so that we could fit more cars in it. That was always an interesting idea to me. I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like, damn, we added more driveway to our driveway. In fairness, it was on the side, like, away from the house. I'm sure it was an area that there was no, like, it's just a pain to mow, you know? Um, okay. I still don't like. I'm running out of steam on doing fences. Oh shoot! This has a garage. Hmm. That has a garage. What should I do with the garage? Um. Also, I'm gonna put a featherboard fence around this person's relatively small backyard. And I'm not doing like survey. Yeah, I'm gonna use the hour to pivot to track work, but I want to get this done. Like I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave this place. Hi, baby. I don't want to leave this place with houses and no fences, because if I step away from it, in my head I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, it's done, but it's not. Um. Uh. This fence can come down this way. You can also like gauge how much these people hate their neighbors by what their fences look like. You says hi. Um, but this person, like, I don't know why my instinct is to bring fences to the street all the time. In a lot of cases, that isn't how fences are. There's a lot of stuff like this, which that's a nice, like, small backyard. Let's grab asphalt for this. This person is going to have a big asphalt driveway. And it's going to be so that they can, yeah, that's not what I was getting at. So that they can turn into their garage back here. And maybe some kind of hedge as their back fence. Let's go find, not that one. Maybe this one. There we go. Okay. Yep. And then this guy right here. I really am not sure what to do about that. I'm thinking a hedge along the edge here. Maybe this kind of hedge. The hedge kind. And we do this. I should do more on a whim streaming. I wish I had more time for something like that. I almost made the thing last night of selecting locomotives. I almost did that in the event space to make it a more public event. Over the Hedge is a great movie. uh, Gloria's with you, Pat. Um, I can't remember if I've seen Over the Hedge, honestly. I would remember. No, that's something you would remember. I think I remember the turtle. Um, all you need to know is not to give the squirrel coffee. I feel like I also got that from Hoodwinked. Now that's a fun movie. If Hoodwinked wasn't like, if Hoodwinked didn't have like a terrifying animation style, uh, it would be a much better movie. Like it's genuinely kind of a fun movie. It's been a long time since I've watched it, so I really hope that assessment holds up. But I remember thinking like, I can't believe people don't like this. Yeah, Hoodwinked. Yeah, I mean, I think okay is not an unfair assessment of Hoodwinked. It's definitely okay. Uh, there was a second one. All right, well, I'm not considering the second one. Was the second one bad? Okay. It's not a movie that really demanded a sequel. It didn't feel like it did anyway. Um, it's just what a strange movie to give a sequel. It's not even like the original. Like the thing that gets me.
The second one was called Hoodwink 2, Hood versus Evil.
All right, that sounds terrible. Number one.
It
Number
got
two.
an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so it is terrible. Um, Dean Amite must be Italian. Yeah, no, I love the squirrel from that movie.
I mean,
Fantastic.
the first one got a 46 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, but that's not fair because people hate Hoodwinked and they're being mean. They should not.
Happily Ever After?
What'd you say?
Does anybody remember Happily Ever After?
Happily Never After. I remember the
Oh
name, but what?
It got a 6 on Rotten Tomatoes, and then they decided to make a second one, but that one got a 21.
This the thing that stuns me is that these movies get sequels. It's like who says, "Oh, that went terribly. Let's spend money on it again." Like seriously though. Uh if a movie bombs so hard. All right, good night, Mossy Mug. Uh if a movie bombs that hard, in on what planet do you say, "Yeah, let's do that again"? Uh let's do another one of those.
Crazy people.
Um this is going to have a
Boyd Kirkland is one of the directors for Happily Ever After 2.
yeah. Who's that? I've never heard of that person before.
He's best known for his work on X-Men Evolution and Batman, the animated series.
Oh man, Batman the animated series, and then he went on to do that.
And then Stephen E. Gordon.
Start pounding, Joker. I know that's not the animated series, but that's just what comes to mind.
He was also known for...
Hoodwink got a budget of $8 million and made $110 million at the box office. I did not realize it was even remotely that successful.
What?
Hoodwinked.
Hoodwink? Was that much money in the box office?
That's nuts. Okay, well that explains why they wanted to make a second one, I guess. But it stuns me that like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a movie that I've ever heard anyone say like good stuff about. Hoodwinked equals stonks, yeah. Um, that budget explains the quality of animation. Damn, got him. I mean, not wrong, but got him. Uh, I don't know. I don't. Hold on. Uh, it was also 2004, which, or sorry, 2005. Yeah. Uh, right around the same time as Polar Express. So that also explains the terrifying animation. Um, Studio was made up of people who had never animated a movie. The whole story of making it is wild. I need like a 4-hour video essay on this, apparently. I need to put it on my watch later and listen to it while I'm doing CAD. Um, that sounds fantastic. Um, I didn't want to be talking about movies, and here we are. Also, the fact that Patrick Warburton plays the wolf is fantastic. Um, hey, Peter. Hey, Red. It was maybe the first movie. I need to watch it again because it was maybe the first movie that I saw that I remember being like intrigued by the premise. Like if I remember right, there's some mystery in there, right? Um, I mean, I remember the bunny. Uh, no, not the cat. I don't want the cast again. Like the bunny is the bad guy originally, but like there's a whole thing about like who who tied up Granny or whatever. Like the wolf is a detective, right? Um, the, it's one of the first movies that I saw that I remember having that kind of premise where you're getting different angles on the same story, and it's like, okay, what actually happened? Um, and I remember going like, oh, this is really neat. Like, this is really cool. I like this. Okay, so here's our track work, right? Let's get up to speed on this, which is General Goods Yard, right? General Goods Yard, and I really love the way this yard is arranged. It is one of my proudest creations as far as track work goes. Even though it's kind of a mess, even though it is kind of goofy, Frog's the detective, the wolf's an investigative reporter, the squirrel is his camera guy. Oh God, that's right.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about the frog entirely. Um,
The French frog. How could you forget about the French frog?
because I just think of Flushed Away. Uh, le fruitcake.
It is fruitcake.
Also an underrated animated movie. I love Flushed Away. Um, shoot. Okay. So this is our like general goods yard, which is a lot of like kind of short, stubby tracks. Like these yards could be longer. Um, this is our yard for hoppers. This is a coach yard. Coach repair facility. The fact that the ground is like subsiding over here is less than ideal. Um, Flushed Away is a lot of fun. Um, I love the ending scene with them taking off in the boat uh, to Proud Mary. That's what like I think that might have introduced me to that song, and I love that song. Um, oh, you know what? I'm realizing I could take advantage of the fact that these tracks are in the ground. I just need to expose. I need to be very careful here. I need to expose like just the ties and nothing else. Um, uh, Flushed Away, the one with Biggie Cheese. No, that was Barnyard, right? Barnyard, I can't remember if I've seen. Um, Speaking of which, what's winning the Playdate poll? I want to check on that. Master, Rareorder on Jader's save, which I'm so down for. I haven't like played Rareorder with other people in a while. Something I'm realizing is we need a way to get people out of this. Like, I need roads in this yard. Um, so let me get my gravel path again. It's a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside. Um, Gravel road. It's just called gravel. So you've got, and I remember like making room for this so you could drive through it, and it's currently hovering, which is less than ideal. You don't really want that. Um, so I'm going to set that to that level. I'm going to put it my cursor right on that, and then I'm going to do the edges here so that it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay. There we go. Oh, nope, nope, still hovering. Is this on an angle? What? I thought I would have got the whole edge of it that way. Um, but yeah, so you can drive through here and then drive out this way. That's sort of what I was aiming at. I need a way for employees to get into here, which that's its own problem. I don't really know how to do that. Maybe if I pull these points way back to here, I can get a road in over here where it's not going to cross, um, where it's not going to cross on the points. The Spy Kids movie with Antonio Banderas as the dad. Um, I think I might own that, or my dad owns Spy Kids 2.
Spike is two, two.
Um,
Spike is three, number two.
I was not a Spy Kids kid.
Oh, I was just a movies kid.
Um, the other day I was trying to remember like what movies, you have that like kid affinity. Like something that our developing minds love to do is watch the same goddamn thing over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Uh, every every parent has those movies that their kid just can't get away from. And I feel like most kids have those movies if they remember them. Like you may or may not remember which movies you were obsessed with as a child. Um, I know, Gloria, we've watched some of yours for the real list. Stuff that I had never seen, or maybe I'd seen once a long time ago, like Dinosaur, right? Um, that was one of your watch over and over agains, right? Um, and oh, that's the wrong thing. Oh, no wonder why, because there is not a spline point there. Um, yeah, I never had that affinity with Dinosaur. I can't even think of any movie that I had that with, except for like the Peter Pan stage plays that my mom would have recorded and put on tape. Um, which is a really weird niche thing. I don't know. I am not someone to go and revisit media most of the time. The Thomas and the Magic Railroad chase scene, Polar Express, like, see, I don't. It wasn't specific scenes for me. I didn't really have the technology for that. I mean, yeah, I had a VHS player, but like, I just let it play. But yeah, movies you'd watch the entirety of, just like you'd get stuck on. Hundreds of beavers. Um, but Thomas and Polar Express, anything Disney, I I can't. Yeah, no, I remember going nuts over the like Peter Pan. Peter Pan was my jam as a kid. I don't even really know. Well, I mean, why did you know? What do I mean? What am I saying? Of course, I don't know why. I was a small child. I'm not going to go back and look at my rationale and say, oh, I really like the lighting. Um, you know, it insists upon itself. Uh, I just can't stand Captain Hook. He insists upon himself. Uh, I I don't know. Oh, oh, okay. I fixed that one. Um, oh shoot, that's right. I need to pull like a transport fever. Oh, 101 Dalmatians. That's a good pick. It's a good one to watch over and over and over again. Um, there are ones that like I wish I was like cultured enough to love. I wish my jam had been Disney's Atlantis. I would hold that up with pride, right? Like that's one of my favorite Disney movies, I think, and I really just love it because I love the premise and I love you know, like I like everything about it. I don't care too much about the movie. I don't go and rewatch the movie. I just like it. Uh, Also, the fact that it's like that's Daniel Jackson. Like Milo Thatch, that's Daniel Jackson. Uh, okay.
Yeah, like, so, like,
My Disney movie was Cars. There's a reason why I love Route 66, and I blame that movie. Mm. Treasure Planet is a solid movie. It's another one of those that I think is pretty underrated. Like, it just sort of flew under the radar, or at least it flies under the radar. You know, it's it's in the conversation now, but it's one of those. It's like a dark horse pick, you know, um, or at least it was. Okay, so there's this. Um, there's how you get into there. How do you get into here? Oh, shoot. How do you get into here? How do you get into this car shop building? It's totally isolated. Um, it's one of those things where I think what I have to do is, yeah, okay, right here, we can shoot the gap next to the coaling tower. Um, Emperor's New Groove is highly underrated. I feel like the Emperor's New Groove gets the respect it deserves these days. Uh, and I mean, in some ways, maybe it always did. The Emperor's New Groove is such a oddball move. Like, it's so bonkers. Everything front to back about that movie is bonkers. We want to talk about a movie with a weird story. Like, not a story like plot, like a story of how it came into existence. The Emperor's New Groove is up there. Um, I don't know how you'd make a secret. I don't know how you'd make a sequel to Treasure Planet. Maybe we should be glad that they didn't try. You know, um, and if you really need more, I'm sure there's plenty of fan fiction. Uh, and that's so. And this is a little bit too deep to get into in the character responses here. But what the hell is Lafayette on about? Um, like I was, and I'll say this in the more specific sense, but I also mean it in the more broad sense. There was a discussion on the Stargate subreddit about a particular sort of loose end that happens sort of midway through the run of Stargate Atlantis. And it's something that you don't really have to think about again, but it happened. Uh, it was there's a piece of technology that exists and they never go back to it. It's like, well, that's weird. I feel like with all the capabilities, maybe they would have wanted to go grab that because they clearly could have. And it would have been cool to have. It would have been helpful to have, etc. And I was sitting there thinking, like, I wonder what... Oh, this is off the ground. I wonder what the biggest loose end from that series would be fun to explain, like, to explore in like a fan fiction or a spin-off. I mean, there's lots of spin-off novels for Stargate. There's lots of spin-off novels for pretty much every property. I mean, it's, with all due respect to the authors out there, considering I've written what I've written, uh, like, having, like, spitting out a book is a lot easier than producing a television show or a movie, right? If you have an idea, and that's all you have an idea, good or bad, you can make that, you know? You can make that into a book, and you can self-publish it. I mean, all the resources are basically free. If you really wanted to do it, you could go to a local library and just type the whole thing in the computer there into Google Docs and, you know, like, bam. TV Tropes calls that what happened to the mouse. It's just like, oh, okay, you know, I have an idea, and I was like wondering, you know, what is the biggest loose end? What is the biggest thing that could be explored? Like, not a problem, not a plot hole, not a, hey, they didn't go and fix this, how are they all still alive? But like a, hey, wait a minute, we left the you know, the god ancient giga cannon over on planet 49. Why did we never go back for that? Um, and the answer is because because it would have been overpowered, or because we just never addressed it in the plot, or maybe we were going to and we didn't get to it, or you know any myriad of reasons, right? Uh, but those things are good sequel fodder. Those things are good book fodder, fan fiction fodder, uh, even alternate universe stuff. I was talking, we Gloria and I, as I said, we're about to go on to season 9 of Stargate SG-1, which I have mentioned this to them, and I've said that it's a big paradigm shift. Originally, they were going to cancel SG-1 and start a new show called Stargate Command, but they didn't want to lose the brand recognition of SG-1. So they just kept it as SG-1 and they carried on. Um, and like I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, and I put this road right through the middle of the switch points. That's not what I wanted to do at all. Um, but yeah, there's a big paradigm shift there, uh, and damn, I really wish I remembered where I was going with that. That's a shame. Uh, so I wasn't gonna say anything that was spoilers. Um, oh shoot. Oh no, that's fine. Anyway, they're gonna make a new show called Stargate Command. They're moving on to those seasons. Uh, and what was I saying about wrapping stuff up? About having loose threads that you can come back to. I don't even know. Whatever. It's not that important. Okay, this is a weird little. Oh, you know what? I need to put in here. I need to put a whole bunch of junk in here. Um, this road can curve through here. I really like. This is an oddball thing that I don't think people think too much about when they're building rail yards. It is, hey, how do the workers get to where they need to go? Um, and this lets us do that. Um, Crossing as few tracks as possible, which incidentally is a whole lot of tracks. Um, but oh, what is going on here? We've got double ties, double king. Oh, and this is not. Oh no, it is. It's trying. It's trying to work. I think I can shoot a road across here. Just to let people get into this area with a truck or with a wagon, really. I mean, if you go back far enough. Um, and we'll have one peel off over here. Now that the track work for this is all done, then I don't really feel bad about filling the areas in between. This is floating. If I do this, it's going to bury the other two tracks, isn't it? Yup, sure is. Okay. We need to fix that, because that's not good. In fact, maybe I raise these tracks just a little bit. I mean, that has been a... Oh, shoot. This is not straightened, is it? Ah, there we go. That's slightly better. Hi, Lafayette. What were you up to? Snooping as usual, I see. Let's straighten this out. Oh, shoot. What have I done? I want to make this whole area the same height. See, when you start off, you put things on the ground, you see where the height discrepancies are, and then you work with them if you can. This is not okay. Okay, and there he goes again. And you can get away with some wonky height stuff. I think. In a yard setting like this, you can get away with some wonky height stuff. Especially, well, no, this would have been sort of purpose built, so they would have thought about this, but shoot, I don't want to bury the tracks here. I'm also losing control. I got a brand new mouse and it slides around on my mouse pad, nice, and it's causing me headaches. Because I'm struggling to control it a lot of the time. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, it's because this spline point is here and it's putting in a little crest. Okay, well, I can fix that at least. I can put in spline points here and say they're there. I can also lower them a little bit just to see if I can reduce that crest at all. And then what does it look down here once it loads in the higher detail meshes? Okay, doesn't look half bad. Yeah. Alright, well, we'll live with that. This area is pretty silly overall. It's kind of a disaster. But it is what it is. Some of this does feel like we're working with SnapTrack. Just the way that certain things connect. Oh! Oh, I didn't even realize that lined up. Where... Okay. I mean, I can work with this. It is not ideal, but I can work with it. Something that we always could do is if we had some like higher area over here, we could do the Selkirk Yard, like bridge across the middle of the yard. That's definitely something that's going to show up at some point because that is a part of my adolescence. Go on historic aerials, look at Selkirk Yard. They had a really sweet bridge, like right across the middle. It's long gone now, sadly, but it was there when I was, freshman in college. And then they knocked it down. It was never drivable while I was there. I could not drive over that bridge. However, I could walk across it. It was a half decent shortcut because Selkirk Yard, for those who don't know, is enormous. It's huge. It is not the kind of thing that is a fun place to just walk around the perimeter. And if there were more people in that community, I have very little doubt that it would have stuck around. Hi, Lafayette. Oh, he's very upset. It would have stuck around, or at least something, like there would have been some agitation about, hey, no, this is actually important for our community connectivity, like if we can't get across, like the giant rail yard is in the way of stuff. Totally fair, right? But okay. But no, it ended up going the way of the dodo. Kind of crazy to think that it got built in the first place. Honestly. that there was a bridge there at all is interesting on its own. There's a lot of words you could pick for that, but interesting is definitely one of them. I mean, if nothing else, designing a rail yard is an endeavor. So when they had to do it in real life, I'm also going to build another sort of like, oh, let's just cut across here. Oh, but there are points right there. I'm really trying to avoid putting stuff over points. I'm also trying to avoid um, shortening these tracks too much, but we have to let people in and out, you know? Uh, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do on this edge of the yard, but I feel like a road is valuable to have. Valuable both for like what would be in universe logistics reasons, and also just to make the scene feel complete. That is, and this is something I haven't really thought about before. Not explicitly anyway, but it's been in my brain, which is that your sort of world, right? Your hey, this is how the workers get to work, sort of vibes. Uh, it's important. It's sort of like the trees that I was talking about last time. It doesn't necessarily register if we sit down and think about it, but it registers at a glance. You see it and go, oh yeah, that looks right, you know? And while the trees are the opposite, the roads definitely aren't. The roads are, yeah, okay, yeah, that you need a road to get in there, whether it's with a horse and cart or with an automobile, pretty much no matter what, uh, because horse and cart was invented before train, and that's how you brought parts sometimes, or bits and pieces, or just like basic tools and supplies. Sometimes it didn't all come in on the railroad. Although, now that I say that, I definitely need like, I mean, you could just stash a car inside, right? Uh, car full of parts. There doesn't need to be a designated drop-off track for rail car parts. Alright, so this is what the road network inside of this yard looks like. And I can't help but notice that some of my stuff has sunk. You know what? Could I actually bring this up a little bit? Let's just bring it up to 69 even. We could bring it a little bit higher than that. Let's say 05. And we're going to have to bring the road down, but if we can keep all this level, then maybe... Yeah, there we go. Alright, back to adjusting the road. So what I came over here to do was build the interlocking at the west end of the yard. That is not what I ended up doing. However, this is also important. Let's remember back to one of our best mantras, one of our most important mantras, which is any progress is progress. See that you can apply that to real life too, but in this case, we are building stuff. We're placing blocks and speaking of lava chicken, baby, did you put the food away? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're also going to have a road that goes down that way. Hmm. Yeah, okay. I think this is fine. The only thing we're missing, and I can't put anything in this tile because then we've got to add one over there. But I do want to put in an industry or two over here. How we access them is anyone's game. Like that's anyone's question. But hmm, excuse me. Just looking back at the movie discussion, it's amazing how much of the discussion involved tangentially Patrick Warburton. Um, Speaking of Selkirk, do you plan on having any humps? I want to try at least one. I want to try at least one. There would be at least one down in Gilson City. Uh, I don't know how to make that work really, but I know it's possible. And with stuff like tagging cars and things, which maybe someday I will retrofit this map for that. Um, I don't know. Uh, I know it can work. Okay. Um, this interlocking down here is gonna be an interesting one. Like I want to think about it. The one up here is complex. Um, Apartment complex? No, I find it quite basic actually. Um, you have so like the interlocking starts here, right? Uh, this is the farthest out switch that would be controlled by it because this down here would be probably a manual throw. Well, I mean, not necessarily. It's set up to not be, but it could be, or at least it would be run from a tower. It might be run from a tower over here, um, or a signal box or whatever. But it also might just be a manual throw. Um, this down here. Oh, Pat, you've got a haunted apartment. Congratulations. If you don't wait another moment, call Ghostbusters. We're ready to believe you. But yeah, this is stupid complicated. This interlocking has a lot of switches in a very small space. I don't know how realistic it is, but it's not too out there. You can get all the way from that track to this. You can get all the way from that track over to this. You can do multiple of those things at once, and you can get from this track over to that over there. Uh, like, it would be interesting to sort of recreate this in Railroute, or even OpenTTD, to really see what all is going on. Because it is a relatively complex interlocking, because it lets trains get over in both directions. It lets freight trains get out. Passenger trains scoot around, lining up to the three platforms here. Um, the other night I'm laying on the couch, my roommate's in his room, door closed. I swear on my life, I hear my name clear as day in my ear. You're not the first person to report something like that. There was actually a discussion I saw the other day of someone had like the same experience, and apparently that kind of like specifically hearing your own name is a relatively common auditory hallucination, which is really fascinating, and I assume it has something to do with how our brains prioritize our names. Uh, I mean, I love the idea of ghosts, but I am a paranormal skeptic. I think that basically everything can be explained away, and ultimately what it comes down to for me is if they had, if there was like hard repeatable proof that ghosts existed, uh, the industry around it would be an orders of magnitude larger than the one that currently exists. It's like in Beetlejuice when they're like, "Oh my god, a genuine haunted house and we're going to be rich." It's like that but real life, It is like every haunted place I've ever heard of is super gimmicky, you know? And that's what kills it for me. Like I just don't think that we could have ghosts and have it always feel this BS. Um, okay, I don't know which. I'm gonna jump into Surveyor 2 and make sure that I did the right thing over here. Okay, I did. I needed to see which one was set up there. So okay, this interlocking needs to do two things. One, it needs to get Trainz into the yard. That's the most important thing. But B, it needs to get Trainz set up for, excuse me, Trainz set up for whatever platform they need in the station. Now we could have an interlocking down here. Excuse me, the yacht up is making me burp. We could have an interlocking down here and then another one up there. We could just have one that's just crossovers into the yard, and then we'd have another one that is the crossovers to get ready for the station. But I don't really think that's the way we should go about things. Part of me, though, and I'm going to do this in Surveyor 2, I feel like we need more of a yard throat. So I'm going to copy this and put this here. And this isn't based off of anything. It's just sort of vibes. The other thing is, in a lot of cases, your yard and mainline are going to look fairly integral. Not like this at all. If we look at, Selkirk is like really on the main line, so I'm gonna look at Selkirk for a second, because Selkirk, like, every single train stops here, so that's not it. That ain't it, Chief. That is not the kind of yard that we're looking for. Let's look down here in Portland, perhaps. Here, not every train stops, and you have two tracks down here. This is an interesting industry. Look at that. This is designed like, wow. That is designed like a creamery almost. So you have two tracks down here, and then you sort of scoot one over that's going to go through, and the other one comes up here into the yard. And there was a lot more yard. But even still, this is a pretty good sized yard. This is pretty similar to the one that we have, if not maybe a little bit bigger. Which goes to show, I thought our yard was overkill, but I really don't, I don't think it is at this point. Part of me wants to have more of a yard throat. But the other part of me is recognizing that there's really no operational reason to have it. Critical logistics pipeline planning, yes. There isn't really a reason to have it. This could just as well plug right on into the main line. However, there is one exception to that, which is you get a train to pull all the way out of the yard up to the stop signal down here, and then pull onto the main. Oh, for God's sake. And I think that's our justification, because this is a pretty late build yard. And so they would have had some provisions for things, and it's the same as at the other end. Damn dog. Bishel McGurpgork. Okay, let's scoot that back to there. Grab the Tane track. I wish you were in main too, Pat. Stupid question, I know, but this is the equivalent of the Pensy, right? So, not a stupid question. when I started off, yeah, Lafayette is scaring away the ghosts. Um, when I started off, I had like a particular prototype in mind for each of the main railways, each of the three at least. Um, the Volga Mountains was the Rio Grande, the Gilson Eastern was the Pennsylvania, and the Zion and Skyline was the N&W. And if you look at, and a lot of, there isn't a ton of stuff to look at, particularly for the Zion and Skyline, but it becomes, I wouldn't say obvious, but clear at least when you look at them, where my inspiration was. Um, Now, as time has gone on, I have developed that inspiration, and everything is kind of a hybrid now. The Gilson Eastern does take a lot of cues from the Pennsylvania. It also takes some cues from the New York Central. It also takes some cues from the New Haven. And it also takes some cues from some other big railroads like that, but nothing specific. Um, so no, it doesn't. No, it's not the Penn Central, but it does have a lot of that to it. Um, the Volga Mountains Railroad takes cues from the Rio Grande, but it also takes cues from railroads like the Rutland, or the Vermont Central, that sort of thing. Um, Maybe even the D&H. The Zion and Skyline I haven't gotten to yet, so I don't know what all the inspirations are going to be. But that's, that there is no one-to-one, right? Is sort of what I'm getting at. There is no this is supposed to be that, but there is a lot of inspiration, and pegging this as, oh, this is my PRR analog isn't really that far from the truth. That is streamed? You stretch these switches out too much, they stop looking like switches, and then you have to do them piecemeal instead of one like big spline. Um, I am actually going to bring this spline point this way. And actually, I want to bring this spline point. Well, either way, Pat, you probably would have got about the same answer. Because that's a fun topic for me. Because even if I can't peg all of the like inspirations of a given railroad here on Tolbrand, there are ones that I have consciously thought about. There are definitely ones that I have not consciously thought about that have seeped in over time. Um, I couldn't put my finger on what any of those are because I don't know, but I think that is one of the things that you should never be afraid to do when you're building. When you see something you like, I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it. Just if it sparks joy, right? If it inspires you, don't hesitate to include it. I mean, there's no reason not to, really. Um, you can find a way. There's a prototype for everything. You can find a way to justify whatever you want on your railroad. You just need to get a little bit creative. You need to think outside the box, and you can make whatever you want happen. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's pretty close. And then we will leave a couple of spaces in the middle. Also, I want to make sure that that is straightened. It is. And how much is in the middle? About 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, and about to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So about right there. Maybe a little bit longer. Because we're going against the grain of the world as it is. And 1, 2, 3 to right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a half or so. Straighten that out. Oh, that's why, because that wasn't straight. No wonder why. No wonder why it's weird. Um, yeah, this is not designed to have a something going out and something coming in, but honestly, maybe it should have. Maybe it should have been. Whatever. Sometimes you gotta live with the bottlenecks. Sometimes it's just gonna be simple, you know. Um, and I think I want to put anything there to here. Get this, if I can get this interlocking done, this is some of the last track work I have to do for this area. And let's go 1, 2, 3 to right there, just to give myself enough space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to right about there. And yeah, we just need to get trains over in both directions. That's it. There are a couple of redundancies I'd like to throw in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right about there. Because I want trains to be able to get to certain platforms. Actually, I think I'll throw it down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right about there. I should honestly be measuring for the switches, but I haven't done that before, and I'm not going to start now. And let's see. I don't really think I can add any other duplicates. I think this is fine. I mean, it covers all the bases. If we have a train coming in this way, I can get over there, I can get over there. I think maybe the only thing I'm missing is a way. Track 1 and 2 for one way and 3 for the other, with 1 and 4 being the slower traffic. Yeah, so the interior mains are the high-speed mains, the outside are the slower mains. I think the only thing I'm missing really is a switch that does. Well, let's see. Let me think about this really quick. Switch that does this from here to here. We also need to think about where we're putting the tower and what sort of view it might have. There to there. And also probably 1, 2, 3. Wait, sorry. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we'll just connect it to right there. Okay. I think that's all we need. That's probably overkill, but there's no kill like overkill. So, we've got like 2 ladders going in one direction and 1 going in the other direction. Yeah, no, I think the only other redundancy we could have is if there was a second one going from this track to that track. But I think a freight train coming off the express main at the same time as a passenger train coming in on the local, and also we can just use this one if push really came to shove. Um, Although maybe that would be the only case is if you had a train coming out of there and a train going into there. I mean, honestly, it's pretty unlikely that we're going to have a freight on the express main anyway. So, I think what we have down there is fine. And if it isn't, then we live with the constraint, you know? And I think that's okay. I think having some constraints is perfectly fine. Making everything imperfect is good. It's something we should aspire to. We don't need everything to be perfect. Hi, baby. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, these switches down here are a little bit shorter. I thought you'd never ask. I don't know. They also have that chocolate bar. Yeah, it makes it more realistic too. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up now because I just got offered ice cream. So I will see you all next week, where maybe we'll do some more signal bridges over here and stuff like that. I think we did a great job with this area here in terms of getting the roads in. I say, patting myself on the back. Good job, me. But no, we got some good work done today. Maybe we'll start on this triangle, this trapezoid, whatever you want to call it, next time. Figure out what all goes here. Get some other roads in. I don't know. The world is our oyster, really. I mean, we need to get this done, but the world is so our oyster. This is the Admiral.